Toronto, Ottawa, 9-10 on the rotation. That's a good game, by the way. Can't wait. Toronto, Ottawa. Toronto minus 135 on the road. Total 6 shaded to the under. There is 1.5 out there at Heritage Sports, minus 118. If you like the over, find it at Heritage Sports because there's a 5.5 out there with that one. To me, I'm never fond of laying mid-sized road chalk. I really am not. But to me, this has to be the spot for Toronto. But bounce out of this funk of theirs. I think they can. I think they will. It was one bad period the other night that did them in. That's been a problem lately with Toronto. The 60-minute effort has not necessarily been there consistently during this losing streak they've been on. But I think after Frederik Andersen makes a little the headlines after that loss to Philadelphia, saying, "My guys in front of me got to be better. They're not helping me out well enough." That's the kind of comment that I think could finally get these Leaf players' heads on straight and say to yourself, we got to stop blowing leads. We've got to stop turning the puck over in front of our own goaltender, and that's happened far too much. They've been hemmed in their own zone for a lot of these games lately, especially the Philadelphia third period. I mean, how many times did we see shifts where Toronto had opportunities multiple times to clear the puck out and they could not? That stuff like that has to change for this team. To be honest with you, Toronto, even though they've been on this 4-game losing streak, could easily have been a 4-game winning streak. Everybody's saying that the sky is falling for Toronto. Well, look at the losses. There's really, you were there. The win was there in your grasp, in the palm of your hands. 3-2 overtime loss to Columbus, 4-3 home loss to Ottawa, and you outshot Ottawa 48-32 in that game. It was just one of those games you couldn't finish around the net. And that's been a concern. Toronto's offense is not right now what it was early in the season. St. Louis, 2-1 overtime loss. Philadelphia, 3-2 overtime loss when you had a 2-0 lead after 40 minutes. They've been right there in every single game and have not closed the deal. I say they closed the deal tonight because I don't trust this Ottawa team. Feeble effort the other night, 4-1 loss to St. Louis. Everybody loved St. Louis. Everybody on this show loved St. Louis. Everybody on Twitter loved St. Louis. Everybody and his brother loved the St. Louis Blues the other night against Ottawa. I was worried about that. That always worries me when everybody loves a certain side, but didn't matter that night. St. Louis was able to get it done 4-1. Again, Ottawa knows the writing is on the wall. This team's not going anywhere. They're not making any sort of push back into the playoff picture. They're a seller at the deadline. You got guys wondering, Phaneuf, even Carlson, there's been trade rumors floating around with him. Guys like that wondering if they'll even be in an Ottawa Senators jersey post-trade deadline. That's not exactly a bet-on situation to me, especially when you got a lot of veterans on this team and you suddenly see that, hey, we're going to be looking to maybe sell at the deadline. That tells you that you just worry about the effort level. Problem with Toronto, one problem is they've had a nightmare time against Ottawa. 0-4 last 4 meetings against Ottawa. 1-6 their last 7 trips to Ottawa. I mean, it has all of a sudden been a Senator-dominated head-to-head series, but I don't like anything I'm seeing from Ottawa, the body language. They know they're not going anywhere. They know they're selling at the deadline. Toronto, after so many near misses, I think this is their spot. It has to be. And it's a short turnaround revenge as well after losing 4-3 at home to Ottawa the other night, or a week or so ago in a game they should have won because they controlled the play against Ottawa, just couldn't finish. I'll lay the minus 135 here with Toronto in this game tonight. Andrew McGinnis also involved in the Leafs and Sens matchup. We were both on St. Louis again. I'm on the Fade Ottawa train tonight. Are you joining me, or are you looking at the total?
I'll happily join you, Ian. I'm not really ever going to be too shy of fading away from these Ottawa Senators, but I'm more into the over. Kind of a good totals day for me. I'm looking at a lot of totals today. And look, in the last 10 games, the over has gone 7-3 between these two teams. And believe it or not, I know 10 games is a big scale, but believe it or not, the Ottawa Senators are averaging 4.4 goals in that span on just 30 shots per game. So look, there has to be something, in my opinion, everyone here knows I'm a Habs fan. Everyone thinks that the Habs and the Leafs are the big rivalry. I really disagree. I think it's the Habs and the Bruins and the Leafs and the Senators. This is a big rivalry for me. This is a big game. Battle of Ontario, as we call it in Canada. And whether people want to believe it or not, Dana always says this as well. And I think that there's certain games that certain players just get out of bed a little bit more excited for. And they're a little bit more ready for, and they have that sort of marked on their calendar, and they know what's going on. And I think for me, this game, Ottawa or Toronto, especially Ottawa as an entirely weaker team, this game against Toronto is a lot more important to them as it would have been, a game against Dallas or even a game against Vancouver on the West Coast. So I think that that kind of brings energy. It brings a lot of risk taking. It brings a lot of explosiveness on offense, and I think it makes players try new things. And I think everyone's going to be fired up for this game. So look, Toronto, they actually haven't been trending towards the over too much in their last couple of games. Their last over that has hit was their last game against the Ottawa Senators, actually, and 4-3 loss. But 5 of the last 6 games when playing Ottawa have gone over the total, and 7 of Toronto's last 8 games when playing on the road against Ottawa have gone over. So, look, I think I've been saying this for a while, and I'm still going to roll with it. As shitty of a team that the Senators are, Ian, and we all know that sometimes they can't even get a beach ball in the ocean with a hockey stick. But sometimes they can score a couple early goals, and then their crappy and terrible defense can help us fly that total over. And I think that's what's going to happen tonight. I think the Leafs are due for a big game tonight. I'm on your side. I think the Leafs will take care of business easily tonight, and they'll get some revenge here on this Senators team. But I think it'll be a really high-scoring game, possibly like a 5-3, 5-2 sort of game for the Leafs. I even recommend taking a team total over for this Leafs team. I just don't think it'll be a good night for the Senators, and I don't think there's really a bright future for them either, Ian. So we'll see if we can continue to fade them.
All right, so over for Andrew in this game, Toronto and Ottawa tonight. Battle of Ontario renewed again. This is a second one of the games here. The Hockey Day in Canada triple header. Should be interesting to see how that one plays out. But yeah, I think you got to be a little concerned for the Leafs if they don't win tonight. But I think, and everyone's talking about the Anderson comments. I don't think it's a negative that maybe he shouldn't have said it in public, but I think it had to be said. I mean, there's been times this season where the play in front of him's not been good enough, and he's battled through it and stolen games and 40-some saves. I think it was time to mention something that you need better, stronger play without the puck, especially from these two youngsters, William Nylander and Mitch Marner. I've seen them make a ton of gaffes this week in terms of play without the puck. Bad back checking angles, just not enough good decision making. Just not defensively aware. I mean, obviously we know they're offensive-minded players to begin with, but you just got to have better awareness than that. If you're you need everybody, all hands on deck, and everybody pulling the rope in the same direction. If you're going to be a big-time team in the playoffs, at both ends of the ice, you got to be doing that. So that is still something that Nylander and Marner in particular are trying to learn with this Leafs team. And Freddie Anderson, I think, was legitimate or justified in saying what he did. I mean, the guys in front of him do have to be better. They've hung him out to dry, especially lately, a bit too much. I think Toronto heeds those words. You get a good effort from them tonight, a strong one, and they take care of business here. So we'll lay the minus 135 of Toronto. Andrew on the over in this game.
Hey guys, thanks for tuning in to our channel. Now, we've put a lot of work into producing all these free videos, so please help us out and keep all our content free for you forever by simply liking, sharing, commenting, and subscribing. Now, not to mention, a visit to our industry-leading website will warm the hearts of all our SBR employees, especially myself. Now, the links are over there to the left, so do check those out. Thanks for watching.